Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. My name is Johanna May Waitakoken, the first reporter to the topic Aristotle's Philosophy of Man. Before we proceed, let us hear some introduction to by Ali Anki.
Before we proceed to our topic, let us know who is Aristotle was. Aristotle, according to the Google, was a Greek philosopher and a very educated man. He was a pupil of Plato's and was the founder of the Lyceum. His view on all subject was theological. He recognized purposes apart from and greater than the will of individual human. That's all. So let's proceed to our main topic.
Man is reason. Plato's concept of man is too idealistic for Aristotle. Thus, he tempered Plato's, his former teacher's concept of man with realism. Man in his current terrestrial life is a composite nature of body and soul, mind and matter, sensation and intellect, passion and reason, as Plato taught man to be originally. Man and reason. Man's reason, on the other hand, is a uniquely defining feature. Man is elevated far above and beyond brute creation by reason. It is reason that causes man to resemble the supreme reason, which regulates and guides the fates of individuals and nations and directs all things to their proper ends. Rationalism is a theory that maintains man's rule over reason. The whole man. Philosophy, today known as science of education, aspires to develop the whole man, to fully realize and actualize all of man's strengths and potentialities, principally his intellectual prerogatives, but also his emotional, social, political, aesthetic, and economic components of his composite being. Thus, through philosophy, a fully evolved man becomes man. The whole man. Aristotle's theory of contemplation. Contrary to popular belief, contemplation is the highest of all human occupations as it seeks and sees the eternal truth, the ultimate foundation and logic of all existence. Indeed, according to Aristotle, the happiest life on earth is one dedicated to contemplation, especially to the divine truths. For Aristotle, activity does not simply refer to physical action. It also refers to and encompasses all forms of human activity, specifically and primarily human logical, moral, and spiritual activity. Similarly, idling as defined by Aristotle refers to having a large amount of free time that can be used to produce, incubate, or even create the best ideas by the best minds in their best times. Aristotle believed that ample leisure time or idleness in the Aristotelian meaning is the optimum environment for reflection, meditation, problem solving, and the other creative activities of man. As a result, Aristotle's concept of idling is akin to Lao Tzu's theory of Wu Wei, or action via inaction, or Gandhi's active nonviolence. Indeed, contemplation is a human activity that arises from the mind's insatiable pursuit for the truth and the will's insatiable desire for the good or happiness. The individual human mind and will mingle with the universal, eternal, unchanging verities through contemplation or meditation, and therefore become universal and eternal via participation and communion with them. In this regard, it is believed that a man who lives a life of contemplation and regularly unites himself with eternal realities will never age or die, since he transcends time and space, and therefore mortality, by becoming one with the timeless truth. Let us now focus on the distinction between Platonic and Aristotelian contemplation that was previously recognized and mentioned. The Aristotelian method of contemplation is practical. It starts with our sensory experience of the world around us and then moves on to observation, reflection, and meditation. The Platonic contemplation, on the other hand, disregards what Plato views to be this realm of the senses, phony appearances, and illusions, and instead goes straight to the heaven of ideas, where it contemplates and communes with absolute eternal truths. In Nicomachean Ethics book, the highest human is the activity we call contemplation. We can define contemplation as knowing for its own sake, knowing for the sake of knowing without any further incentive or goal. This knowing is good in itself, not an instrument good. So Aristotle say the highest human good, ultimate human happiness, is knowing for its own sake. Or contemplation, he then tells us 8 things about it. Number 1, the highest activity of highest element is us, or our intellect directed towards the highest object of knowing. Number 2, contemplation is the most continuous human activity. Although we cannot do any single act without stopping, knowing is the activity we can do most continuously of all. Number 3, contemplation is pleasant to do, and its pleasure has a special purity and stability about them. Number 4, contemplation is the most self-sufficient of human activity. Justice requires other people, but contemplation can be done by the wise man himself. Number 5, contemplation is desired for its own sake. It is not an instrument good. It produces no product except for knowledge and the state of having contemplation. Number 6, contemplation is superior to the activities of polities and warfare. Both of these involve exertion, which contemplates does not, and both are instrumental in nature. We them forsake of common good or victory in war. Aristotle adds seems to have a superior seriousness about it. Number 7, life spent in contemplation is superior to a merely human life. Here Aristotle raises an important point about our ability to transcend this world through. Number 8, contemplation is natural to man alive, live in accord with the intellect, more than anything else constitutes humanity. What makes us human is not our bodily existence, our digestions of sexuality, or social existence. It is our ability to contemplation, divine things, and the whole of the cosmos that makes us human. Man's perfection and happiness. True knowledge, as Socrates remarked in his philosophy of knowledge, is practical in the sense that it is learned for the sake of self-improvement rather than for sake of gaining information. Aristotle, adhering to the same notion of knowledge, claims that fully knowing the good entails doing the good on a regular and consistent basis. This can be seen in the understanding and practice of virtue, for example. The intelligent man, for example, not only understands, loves, and appreciates virtue, but also practices and lives it. True knowledge, according to Aristotle's philosophic mind, entails wisdom, which is knowing and doing what is best for you in order to achieve your own perfection and happiness. As a result, according to man's perfection and contentment, man's perfection and happiness, therefore, according to Aristotle, consist in wisdom and virtue. Happiness. Because reason is permanent in man, it should control all aspects of existence. A well-ordered life, directed by and conducted in accordance with reason, is a good and happy existence. A miserable life, on the other hand, is a chaotic existence controlled by passion and man's lower nature. Happiness is the result of virtuous living, of exercising reason in all of man's acts and endeavors on a consistent and right basis. Aristotle, while emphasizing reason's primacy in man, it does not overlook or neglect the development of man's subordinate powers such as his physical, economic, artistic, and social capacities. Human happiness, according to him, stems from the harmonious exercise and development of the full man. Of all human capacities, powers, and potentialities, and in particular his mind. To him, human happiness rather comes from the harmonious exercise and development of the whole man, of all human faculties, powers, and potentialities, primarily his rational prerogatives, and secondarily his physical and emotional attributes, as already explained and stressed earlier. Happiness is the rationally organized activity of the whole man, just as each organ of body has its distinctive function, and measure its well-being or happiness by the degree of excellence or virtue with which it exercises that function. So man's happiness will go hand in hand, primarily with the exercise or the virtuous operation of his distinctive activity, which is reason, and secondarily with the harmonious exercise of the other activities and his composite and complicated nature. It is from History of Philosophy by Fuller, page 208 on Aristotle.
Good day everyone, my name is Ali S. Anki and I'm the second representative of the Group 5, which is the Aristotle philosophy of man. The theory of the golden mean. Aristotelian rationalism finds its crowning exemplification in his theory of the golden mean. It explains that virtue comes in the fruit of the proper exercise of all man's functions. Now, when is a function properly exercised? Aristotle tells us that a function is a properly exercised and activity properly performed. When done in consonance with reason within rational bounds, which lie midway between two false and vicious extremes. Eating and drinking, to give an example, are good in themselves and even necessary to sustain life. But when indulged in excessively, they degenerate into the vicious, morally reprehensible habits of gluttony and drunkenness. Thus, Aristotle counsels us to avoid extreme. The two fools, which is the too much and too little in short, to practice moderation. This theory can be sustainably stated. Truth and virtue are found midway between two false and vicious extreme. Therefore, avoid extreme and practice moderation. Let us proceed to the comment of the theory of the golden mean. If the theory is called golden mean, it is perhaps because it speaks and spells out clearly man's predilection for symmetry, balance, and hence harmony amidst life, multivariate and confliction notes, components, tendencies, and interests. The theory has its proper field of application in ethics, in human activity, though it finds some interesting, striking analogies in other fields of human pursuit and endeavors in literature, philosophy, and the fine arts, wherein the theory of the golden mean finds a gold mine of realization, potentialities, and implications. Further reflection on the theory of the golden mean. The theory of the golden means of Aristotle never means to glorify the mediocre, the average, the median, nor the status quo as some critique of Aristotle's content. On the contrary, it aims to elevate the commonplace, the ordinary activities of men to virtuous heights by constant striving of moral excellence for one's own perfections and happiness. In this theory, Aristotle envisioned virtue and happiness as occupying the summit of Mount of Perfections that lie between two precipitous ravens, or which means extreme errors, fault, and vices. Likewise, Aristotle's theory that true and virtues lie between two false and vicious extremes, and that we should avoid excesses and practice moderation, does not rule out if necessary under extreme condition of employing radical or the extreme measures under extreme conditions by the people of it means. Example, their own survival against the outrageous and relentless commission of the heinous and crimes. Now let's proceed to the ruler should be a philosopher. As already stressed earlier, the highest faculty of man is his reason. While the sense only sees the surface, reason presides the substance, the very natural of things. It is thus the philosopher, the man skilled in the art of reasoning, the highest form of human activity that can see through the shams and shadows the truth, the reality behind a mere appearance, the reality hidden under the superficial accidental qualities of things. Under the rules are philosopher, and the philosopher the rulers is A. These states will never rest from their evils. Critical evaluation, appreciation. Aristotelian rationalism has greatly influenced man's thinking in practically all fields of human learning, pursuits, and aspirations. Aristotle's concept of the primary of reason is embodied and embedded in our jurisprudence. For instance, in the concept of law defined as a mandate of reasons. In case in the legal maxim, Casanti ratione insat lex ipsa, or the reason is the soul of the law, and when the reason for the law ceases to exist, so does the law itself. To Aristotle belonged the credit of being the first thinker of systematically reconcile idealism with realism, the intellect with the senses, mind and reality, imaginations and reasons. The ethics of Santo Thomas Aquinas is basically Aristotelian, means using the same common terms is the same meaning such as reason, nature, law, purpose, virtue, good, happiness. Though Santo Thomas illumines the signification of this concept by the light of divine revelations. The philosophy and the definition of education as a harmonious development of all of man's natural powers, potentialities, capacities in all phases and human lives is inspired by the Aristotelian concept. The principle of the moral goodness, or the bonum ex integra causa, requires fullness of being. The good moral character integrates and covers all vested good qualities of the human being, exemplifies and illustrates Aristotle's concept of the human perfections. means moral integrations. That's all. Again, I'm by Ali S. Anki, and we are the Group 5. Thank you for watching.